Hi there, welcome back to On the Flip Side. My name is Adam Shawalker, your host, and today we are going to be covering this new Lil Nas X album called Montero. The first track on the album is the title track, Montero, which dropped along with a music video back in March, and since then I've just been kind of waiting to see what was going to happen, and now 6 months later we get to hear this new album with this song used as the intro track to kind of set the scene. The song is incredibly crisp from a production standpoint, and this kind of flamenco style beat with these like trap drum hits and fat bass parts are fantastic. The final Call Me By Your Name segment is so good I kind of just wish it went on longer. Excellent album opener. The next track is Dead Right Now, a much more straightforward, modern rap track that is focused and to the point. This is a sound and style that I was kind of looking for more when I listened to Donda. It's a more in-touch sound, it's modern, and it's more likely to stay relevant for a long time. Lil Nas X is also really nailing the outros of these songs with these steady build-ups that aren't really super predictable, but are absolutely well done. Industry Baby as a track kind of reaches into that bass-heavy banger track style. This whole thing is kind of the rest of the song, trying to wrangle in these massive bass hits that run through the track. The lyrics on this song are great too, with a steady pushing of the knife into the music industry, just kind of saying, hey, yeah, I'll get right on putting out the album, and it's gonna sell big, and it's great, and now that I'm your golden goose, I'm gonna have to pander a bit too, huh? Like, here's your line about being gay, it's really done, and I really like how self-aware this song is. Like, yeah, I'm kind of the new motherfucker, and I'm gonna sell a lot of records, and you're gonna, suck up to me because I'm the shit, and I'm not gonna let you exploit me, because I will exploit you. He's doing a really, really fantastic kind of putting his foot down here and not really letting things, get to him. It's kind of like, it's like how Prince kind of got screwed with his label and had to change his name. It's like, no, we're setting these standards that I'm gonna be the one in charge here, and I really respect that on that track. Next up is That's What I Want, which is a nice love track that kind of gives me a vibe if Prince was still alive and maybe a little younger. This would be the type of music he would be helping to push along into a new musical territories. This song is incredibly catchy. The chorus is fantastic and whimsical. 100% excellent pop song. The Art of Realization is a very short interlude track that leads into Scoop, which is the most cut-back banger on this track listing so far. The Doja Cat feature is pretty solid and fits right in line with the sound of this song. I'm not really generally a huge fan of her music, but in this case she did a really fantastic job. This song is also about where I've kind of noticed that these songs are just about the right length. It's kind of like each track knows exactly when it's about to overstay its welcome and starts to kind of head out. So the restraint and the writing on keeping things tight and punchy is really, really excellent on this album. Like they're very well in touch with when is about the right time to just wrap things up. Next is One of Me with a feature from Elton John. This is a very emotionally raw song where Lil Nas is kind of laying it on the table, like, now's the time where I'm here to prove myself. You've called me a meme, you've called into question my credibility since the start, you're one of me and are consistently trying to pull some excuse out like, yeah, I'm in your corner, but you still criticize the way I want to do things and the way I like to do things or where I want to go with my art. I think he's really just not holding anything back, and I love how he frames this kind of real-time scenario of the criticisms he's faced since having been forced out of the closet a few years ago. This is probably my favorite track so far. Next up is Lost in the Citadel, another of the poppier and more whimsical tracks on the album, a lot more of a focus on just straight up singing and less rapping. This song actually kind of tickles a bit of pop punk, it's obviously not a pop punk track, but there's hints of that blended in here, like the later Paramore records that's kind of blended in so well with the styling of the album, and it all just works wonderfully. It just seems like they've managed to pull inspiration from so many places that are generally not the best sources of great music or art, and they've just kind of scraped off the really good bits and kind of dispersed them through this song, and I absolutely love how they did it. This is an excellent track. Up next is $sign Slime. Lil Nas is hitting on all of those trap sounds from the last few years and flipping a lot of these very general ideas on their head with some weird beat sampling and a fantastic feature from Megan Thee Stallion. She really just rips into this track and crushes her performance. I also love her lines towards the end of her verse with "Baby, all these hoes imitate me, you gonna fuck a Stan or the real Slim Shady," which I do really like because using Eminem at this point, as a focus of one of your lines, while funny, is also kind of a joke and almost embarrassing. I mean, I don't know exactly what the intention here was in like the writing, but I love the idea that Eminem is just kind of such a goof at this point that you could kind of just name drop Slim Shady references and have them be kind of intentionally bad or overzealous, or maybe not even intentionally, but being compared to Eminem should probably not be a goal by anyone at this point. And anyway, aside from that tangent, the next track is Tales of Dominica. Things are toned down a bit on the rap side, and we get this very lovely guitar and vocal track. The lyrics are pretty simple and to the point, and explore themes of isolation and loneliness and self-doubt, all kind of dripped over this really calming backing track, and a rising wave of sound that is well dispersed throughout the majority of this track. The next song is Sun Goes Down, a really personal and dark track that really digs deep into Lil Nas's thoughts of suicide and a lack of a sense of self-belonging, and the way he's just kind of stripped back all of the bullshit on this record and exposed a lot of very sensitive and private information is a really powerful move, and this song ends up being one of the stronger moments of honesty on this album. Next up is Void, the longest song on the album at 4 minutes. Almost feels kind of like a continuation of Sun Goes Down, but with a bit of a drearier backdrop. Many of the same themes are toyed with here, like the idea of suicide being preferable to being gay, and wrestling with your identity. There's also a big theme of being wanted but not being loved, with a central theme around being a winner and being successful in your life, but not in the nourishing way of having a rich and loving bond with someone. The title really sums up the track, with Void about being having a strong sense of emptiness, maybe even purpose. The next track is I Don't Want It. We're getting back into the trap-heavy rap stuff on this song with a huge banger-style beat. Luckily, we're keeping the introspective lyrical themes here with a song about Lil Nas maturing and growing as a person and kind of admitting and letting people know, I'm not the old me, He talks again about his depression issues and self-medicating with weed and booze. You also get a bit of a self-realizing moment captured through, thinking about how he's admitting he has acted stupid to be funny and to get people to like him instead of being, an honest version of himself and being genuine with people. Next is Life After Salem. This second to last track has a cool kind of a post-rock vibe for this intro that is really tense and draws your ear. The song focuses more on depression and love, but more so on kind of a post-breakup situation, or maybe even a union of two very damaged individuals who kind of assume the worst of each other. There's some drug abuse stuff in here and some domestic violence stuff, but there's also, hints that the other person, maybe the abuser here, isn't necessarily the only one who's taking advantage of someone. As Lil Nas says, our scars will dance with each other, and how things can be temporary as a part-time lover, so maybe Lil Nas is being used here as an escape for this person who is also being abused and becoming the abuser in the process. Though this could be a much simpler song than I'm making it out to be, and it could be more straightforward to be about like an abusive relationship, and I could just be reading into the lyrics a little bit too deeply, but overall the emotional depth of this song is absolutely incredible, and I really, really like it, and I just really appreciate that they kind of give you a lot of room to think about it. The final track on the album is Am I Dreaming, with a feature from Miley Cyrus. This final track as a send-off almost feels like a farewell song to this album, and maybe this era of Lil Nas X's style of music, or maybe just his previous personas. This feels like a song of liberation for Lil Nas, especially during the final lines of the track. Though the end of the track is a bit concerning, with a sound that seems like something like maybe a body falling into water on a rainy night. There's kind of some cars passing by that you can hear, and so maybe this is kind of a send-off song, and it's framed around like a hypothetical suicide by jumping off of a bridge. I mean, you tell me. Anyway, this album was on my radar for a bit, and I figured it was going to be pretty good, but I didn't really just anticipate how fantastic it was going to be. This is probably going to be my pick for album of the year at this point. Lil Nas X is intelligent, he's witty, he's incredibly in touch with a very firm understanding of the world and himself. This album is almost perfect in my opinion and gets a solid 9. Thank you all so much for watching again. If you enjoyed this review, please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. And like the video as well, and leave a comment and tell me what you think. I do have a Reverb store now, so if you'd like to check that out, the link is in the description. You could get something that I don't want to own anymore, like this. Or maybe this. Or this. Thank you all so much again, and we'll see you on the flip side.